Welcome to the ID Den podcast, the show for teachers ready to step outside the classroom and into their next chapter. I'm your host, Charity Bosch, and I know firsthand how overwhelming it can feel to leave teaching behind. Whether you're exploring instructional design, navigating corporate culture, or just figuring out your first steps, this show is your roadmap. Each episode will tackle the real challenges, share practical strategies, and prove that your teaching skills are exactly what the world needs, just in a different setting. Let's turn that classroom expertise into your career advantage. Today, I want to talk about a common pain point that I see a lot of transitioning teachers have, and I'm calling that portfolio paralysis. So what is portfolio paralysis? Portfolio paralysis is where you end up in sort of a catch-22 situation. You need a portfolio for jobs, but you need a job to create a portfolio, or so you think. You feel stuck before you even get started, and that's where the analysis paralysis around what to create comes in, creating your portfolio paralysis. This hits teachers hard because you are used to having curriculum provided. We all know that teachers make a lot of things to supplement that curriculum, but it does give you a springboard from which to plan your lessons. You've never had to prove your teaching skills with samples, you prove your teaching skills with observations. So it can become overwhelming when you see these professional portfolios online and start to compare yourself, especially because we know that teachers have a lot of perfectionist tendencies from their time in the classroom. You kind of have to. Most teachers are perfectionists, and that comes out and the comparison game starts playing against those portfolios, and you start second guessing yourself and questioning things. The real problem that you're having is that you don't have instructional design experience yet. So you don't know what good looks like to someone else. And so you're afraid that your work won't be good or professional enough. You could also be worried about wasting time on the wrong things, and then you've spent time developing a portfolio that doesn't land you those jobs that you're trying to get. The benefits of solving this pain point is that it gives you work samples for your applications. It gives you a confidence boost for interviews and those samples to talk about during those interviews. And it gives you the experience of building different types of content. By building a portfolio, even before you get a job, which you kind of have to do it before you even get a job, you also develop a better understanding of the ID process because it no longer is theoretical. It is something that you have done in practice. It gives you those things to talk about in those interviews between the samples themselves and the process that you went through to create those samples. So what are your solutions? The first solution would be to use course authoring tool trials to create e-learning courses. Articulate 360 is the most common. That is something that a lot of instructional designers use, and a lot of companies know the name, and they do offer a free trial. So you could sign up for that and use their RISE module for rapid, responsive e-learning development, and the Storyline module for more complex interactive courses. Free trial is usually about 30 days, so you want to make sure that you do all of your planning work before starting the trial. Do all your design for about 2 to 3 courses completely first, have your storyboards done, all of the things up until the point where you would develop, and then you build and develop the course during that trial period. Another solution is to use the tools you already have. A lot of instructor-led courses don't need any sort of course authoring tool. You're using PowerPoint for the slide decks, Word for the instructor guides. If you wanted to get real fancy, sign up for the free version of Canva and design them in Canva. Create those instructor-led materials that include job aids, reference guides, student workbooks, all of the things that you would want to include for your samples, including assessments. Don't forget those. Those all count as portfolio pieces too. So you want to make sure that you are putting those in to be shared as part of your portfolio. A lot of people want to see both. So you want to create a balanced portfolio. You want to have a mixture of those e-learning courses and the instructor-led courses. This is going to show versatility to employers, and different formats demonstrate different range and skill sets. You don't want to put all your eggs in one basket and develop only e-learning or only instructor led, because a lot of times organizations are going to use both, and you want to be able to showcase that. You might be thinking, great, what do I even build courses on? So here's some project ideas for you. You could convert existing lessons that you have into e-learning. Think about your substitutes as new hires, create onboarding training for them to know how to operate things within your classroom. You could build compliance training modules. It might require a little bit of research, but especially if you're trying to work in a particular industry, it's good to do some research on them and then build some training that are going to showcase what it would look like for you to work in that industry. You could design a new teacher orientation or a parent communication workshop. You don't have to get too wild with your ideas. Stick with things that you've already done or you already know and convert them. Look at what the materials you already have access to and then decide if you want to make it instructor-led or if you want to make it e-learning, and then do the work to do those conversions. A few portfolio don'ts. Don't wait for permission to start. Don't wait for a job interview to pop up. At that point, you're going to be scrambling and your work isn't going to be high quality. So do it while you're applying for jobs, while you're waiting for those interviews, before you even give your notice. If you're doing it for side jobs, you're going to have to be doing it in the evenings, over summer, over break, whenever it makes sense for you and the timeline that you're in. You don't need someone's permission or request to start working on these things. You can be proactive and you can work on them now. Don't aim for perfection, especially on your first try. You can always go back and revise things. You want something to show, and no one is going to expect perfection. I am an expert in the field, and I still don't get it perfect. I could iterate forever, but done is better than perfect. Don't copy other people's work exactly. You can use other people's portfolios for inspiration and to kind of get an idea of a framework or certain formatting patterns that you start to notice, but do not ever copy someone else's work. You don't want to damage your credibility and integrity if it ends up being found out, which I've seen this happen before, and people do find out. They have a way. So just don't do it. And don't create too many samples. You don't need 20 different things to show. Have 2 or 3 e-learning courses to show, 2 or 3 instructor-led courses to show. We're looking for quality over quantity here. And please, 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 please do not use copyrighted materials. And this is going to include the curriculum in your classroom. You cannot pull things directly from those materials. It will get you in trouble. And this is a big thing to bring up as a teacher, because teachers usually don't have to worry so much about copyright because of the different laws and protections in place for teachers to use materials. When you are building your portfolio and applying for corporate jobs, you are not under those protections any longer, and you have to be careful about using copyrighted materials. Some of my favorite projects to create from are your hobbies and your interests. Those are things that you don't need to use other work for, and so you don't have to worry about the copywriting if it's all your original content. So, how do you get started? Pick one simple project to start. Focus on doing the instructional design process from start to finish on that project before moving on to the next. If you are doing an e-learning, you're going to do the instructional design process up to development. Then move on to the next one. Get all of your instructional design process for your e-learning courses all the way through to where you're ready to put it in that course authoring tool before you sign up for your trial. Document your thinking and decisions. Start creating standard operating procedures for yourself. And then, as you go through and you work on these different projects and you start to gain that experience and you start thinking, oh, well, I was doing it this way and it's actually going to be a whole lot more efficient if I do it this other way, update your SOPs as you go. Get feedback from others. That's part of why the ID Den exists, is so that you have a place to come and get feedback from me, feedback from other instructional designers in the community, feedback from your peers who are going through things. It is so important to get feedback from others. My only kind of clause here is make sure that it's someone that you trust and you value that you're getting feedback from, because if you're going to someone that you don't really know and you don't know if they're good, you don't know if you can trust them, and they give you bad advice, that's not going to work out well. So just make sure that you're getting feedback from others that you trust and you know that they're going to give you good quality feedback. and iterate and improve. Again, throughout the whole process, and this is a key thing for instructional design, is you're going to iterate and you're going to go through different cycles. Try to do some beta testing as part of your design process and have other people go through your training and provide that feedback. And then iterate and improve it as you go. Again, you can iterate forever, so don't fall into that trap. Done is better than perfect, but it's good to hone your process and to give you good samples to provide. That being said, as you go through interview processes, you're going to start getting feedback on how things went during the interview, maybe even your samples. If you're getting that feedback and you feel like it's good quality feedback, you can go and update your portfolio at any time. The key is to overcoming the fear. Your first portfolio won't be perfect. Everyone has to start somewhere. I had to start somewhere. And so it's important that you just get started and you're not striving for perfection. Hiring managers understand that you're transitioning. They are going to want to see something. They are going to want to see proof that you understand instructional design and can do the work, but they're going to understand that you are coming from teaching with no direct instructional design experience, and they're going to be more lenient in that. The process matters more than the polish initially. So being able to articulate your process, even if your sample isn't wonderful and polished and perfect and beautiful and launch ready, understanding your process is a big part of these interviews. And I can say that speaking from a former hiring manager of instructional designers. I would always want a portfolio. Seeing the end result starts to give me an idea of what they know, what their skill set is, and what their process might be. But during the interview, that's when I would ask more pointed questions about, hey, I saw this e-learn you created in your portfolio. Talk to me about the process you went through to create that. And it kind of gives a springboard during the interview process. So knowing how to articulate, well, I started by conducting a needs analysis, blah, blah, blah. You go through your process, then you can speak to that using those samples as your springboard. So hopefully that helps you start to overcome that portfolio paralysis. Something is better than nothing. Don't let the fear stop you from moving forward. Don't let the concern of, well, I've never had an instructional design job before. How am I going to create a portfolio? You can create a portfolio without having any direct instructional design job experience. So subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts. Share this with teacher friends that are also considering a change, and connect with me on Instagram at the ID Den. Stop waiting for the perfect moment to start. There is no such thing. Getting started is way better than sitting there wasting time. Your teaching experience is what gives you the content advantage. Don't forget all of that wonderful experience that you have. Just start transferring it into a more formal instructional design setting. Start building something today, even if it's small, even if it's just generating ideas for courses that you could create, and then figuring out, oh, that would be good for e-learning, or that would be good for instructor-led. Even if it's just ideation, start on something today. No matter how small it is, you will get there.